Counselor Accents Podcast. Two school counselors who love their jobs. Oh, and they happen to have Southern accents too. Bless their hearts.
I'm Laura Rancourt.
And I'm Kim Crumbly. And together we are Counselor Accents, two school counselors who are in the trenches with you.
We know what you're going through because we're living it every single day. I feel like we haven't seen each other or darkened the doors of a school in 3 months, but really it's just been a matter of a couple of days.
I know it, but I mean, I'm already relaxed. My body is in a relaxed state.
I am not because I've been at kids camp.
Oh, yeah. You went on a camp trip.
So I have this crick in my neck that won't go away. And so I'm not there yet. I'm not at the relaxed.
You're not there. I went to the beach, and so I was, yeah.
You needed that.
I needed that. So I'm still on, like,
but you may have a crick in your neck tomorrow because you had an episode today.
A little thumper bumper, in which I tapped a car, little tap, and it was, do I say something or do I not say something? And so I got out and investigated. There was an investigation, and I have to remind myself cars are not made out of steel like the big 1950s cars. I mean, it had rubber on its bumper. I had rubber on my bumper. They hit rubbers. Okay? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I wish I hadn't said they hit rubbers. Anyway. But I still felt really badly, but there was nothing there.
Did you feel really bad, or did someone else make you feel bad? Let's tell the rest of the story.
Okay, somebody saw her else, and I had to get out and investigate. And I told the other person, I said, it just hit rubber. It didn't hurt it. It didn't hurt it. But you know my history.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Maybe it was someone who knows about you. And
yes.
I'm sure we've told this story on the podcast, but it is one of my favorites.
I don't know that I've ever told this story on the podcast, but this is a true story. So I am one of the last people to leave church on a Wednesday night.
Of course, it's your badge of honor.
And I will not leave the parking lot until I'm the last person. No. And so I'm backing up, and there's only one other car in the whole parking lot, and I hit that car. So I go in to the church to tell the person, I have hit your car. So when I was in the church, they were talking to the Lord. They were in prayer. And I just did not feel like I go, hey, excuse me. So I left.
And left the scene of an accident.
I left the scene of the crime, and I saw who it was. I thought I'll call him later when he's not, he thought he was alone in the church. He thought he was alone in the church, and he's praying loudly. And I'm like, I just didn't feel like it was the time. Well, unfortunately, I forgot about the accident. I don't know how. I went home and just in life never called him. Fast forward. Couple of months later, I'm sitting in women's Bible study, and
months. You said months. Did you say months or weeks?
Months, maybe. And she asked for prayer because somebody had hit their car, and they had not had the money to get it fixed. And so I said, "Oh, okay, that was me. I hit your car." And I mean, how bad did that make me feel that I had completely washed that out of my brain? That's how my brain works. Like, if I don't get it off my chest right then, it's gone. I've moved on to another major thought. All of our listeners are now tuning into somebody else. They're like, this woman is horrible. I am horrible. It was horrible.
Did you
laugh about it now? We had to make it right. I obviously did not see. I obviously did not see the damage that I had done.
Did you? And speaking of damage that was done, how's your relationship with that family?
We love that family. We love them.
They love you.
They love me. They love me.
Well, that's the thing about you. You can't stay mad at you, no matter what. I've tried.
You try to stay mad at me, but I mean, I know how horrible that sounds. I know how horrible that sounds. I don't it I my life is got a lot. So that's
Yeah.
the only thing I can say. But today was a little boop, and I did get out and look. I don't want that accident to happen again where I just like run somebody down and forget.
If you are listening to this and your car was hit today in Coleman, Alabama,
Please call your local authorities. Well, then I had all these images of like that being against the law. If you don't leave your number, which I usually do, but there was nothing. There was no reason to leave it. So I called the sheriff's department, somebody that works there, and I didn't get, I have no answer yet, but there was I just don't want it to look like there was something that happened and it wasn't, because there was nothing.
and in
I have
your
trauma from
defense,
this class.
you ask around. You
I
ask,
did.
"Hey, is this
I
your car? Is
waited.
this your
I
car?"
kept saying, "Is this your car?" Because I knew there was nothing. I was gonna just show them, "Hey, we kissed." That's all I was gonna say. We kissed, because that's all it was, a little boop, little kiss. Anyway, my life, Laura.
It's one of a kind. Yeah.
It is. It is. You are getting ready to go to San Antonio when? To a conference
In a couple of
without me.
weeks. In a couple of weeks, and I've been stressing over a couple of things. 2 truths and a lie, because, I'm
You
not
have to.
good at that. I'm just glad that we had a heads up that I've got to think of my 2 truths and a lie.
I've never been given heads up on that. I've always
Well,
just
I'm
been
grateful. They must know about me because I'm grateful. I've been reading this book, and I think you need to read it too.
okay.
It's called something like The Introverted Leader, and I think it would do you well to listen to it. It has nothing to do with 2 truths and a lie, but it's the way my brain works compared to the way your brain works.
Oh, okay.
And I've realized some of the things that you do because you're not an introverted leader. Although what people don't know about you is you are a little bit of an introvert. But anyway,
Complex.
yeah. So
Did
anyway,
you
I
learn
think
about me or more about you?
I learned about us because
Okay.
one of the things that it says flat out in the book is that an introverted leader they may have a look on their face because they are reflecting and they're thinking, like while somebody's speaking, they're processing what that person's saying. So they may have this look on their face, and you always get onto me for the way that my face looks. But I really am processing and thinking about, well, I'm going to say 99% of the time. Sometimes I am flat out judging.
You are
But
gone. Sometimes you're just gone.
yes,
Sometimes
but
I just you are making a grocery list. You are gone.
99% of the time, I'm thinking about what to say, like how to, I don't know, like the
You're
connection there. I'm
processing, and I
processing.
never stop to process.
And
Like
so,
I can't stand that silence.
and that is exactly what it says. And
Yeah.
so, if you'll notice when we do a podcast,
Yes.
you hog the questions because
Yes.
you can't, like, I will be thinking, okay, I want to connect what they just said to my question. You jump in there and you ask it, and then time's up, and I don't get to ask any questions.
Are we having a marital
This is an
conference
intervention
right now in front of
now.
everybody? Like
It's an
an
intervention.
intervention right now.
No, I
I
really
hate
learned a
when
lot.
when
And it's
in the
given
marriage,
me,
the other person's reading the book on how to improve the marriage, and
and the other one's
it
not
just
putting in
improved
any
me.
work. You're not putting in any work. No,
I'll
it's
be
helping me understand, like, I won't get mad at you now because
well, that'll be a change. That'll be different. I don't know what we'll do now. There are no other emotions.
I'm just asking that you let me have my facial expressions from time to time because I'm actually reflecting and thinking. But it does say that people think that the introverts are snobs. And how many times have you thought that about me
Before I knew you,
before
yes,
you knew me? And I mean, I've heard
absolutely.
that my whole life that people thought that I was stuck up, and then they get to know me and they're like, "You're not at all what I thought you were." But I really have to work
Yeah.
hard to overcome that.
And I have to work hard to close it
And
and
it talks about that in the book
process.
too. It talks about, and I'm not just saying this is straight from the book,
Mm.
but it talks about how the introvert doesn't want to put it all out there. It's very difficult to to humble brag, but for the extrovert, they want more time to talk about everything that they've accomplished. And we're a good balance. We're a good balance because you put it out there and reel it
I
in.
feel like this is a backhanded.
It does feel like that.
Yeah,
It does.
it's okay.
I will. Maybe there's an extroverted leadership book that I'll read next.
This is the only way we can grow. It's the only way you grow. Is if you're open to criticism.
And it
and heaven knows I'm open to your criticism.
It helps me realize, okay, I need to nod my head and I need to smile every now and then and not just process my thoughts inside. But and so I understood what you were saying. Like every time we get off a podcast and you get on to me.
Thank you.
And I just want you to understand that I'm thinking, I'm processing.
Understood. And
now we're in a better place.
Now we're in a better place. And I hope that people listening take this as an example of how to improve their relationships. I will never speak to you again.
I'm done with you. After this podcast that we're about to do, where we have a fantastic guest.
Fantastic.
We're excited about talking to her. She's going to be talking to us about eating disorders and moving into the middle school arena. I do think that it's reaching lower and lower, like the body image issue, but I have seen it firsthand and had to call you a couple of times this year with, how do I handle this? What do I do? Because it's really not something as school counselors that we're trained on or that we talk about.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think so. I think this is going to be really helpful for everybody.
Kim, our guest today is one that we have been wanting to have on for a while. It's a topic that is so important to all of our students. And I think it's becoming like, no matter what age group you work with, this is a relevant topic for every age group. So we have Lauren Dorman with us. And Lauren, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then we are going to jump into some questions because we've got a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that you value everything that I'm about. So I'm Lauren Dorman. I'm a registered dietitian, and I am first and foremost a mom and a wife, and I have 2 kids. Jacob is 15 and Sarah's 12. So I don't know if you guys are school counselors as high school or middle school. Are you?
I'm pre-K through 8 in Laura.
I'm middle school.
Yep. So my kids are all in the throw of all this. That I love working with 10 and up, but mostly I love working with middle school and high school.
Yeah.
So about, I would say like 5 years ago, I took a real liking to counseling patients with eating disorders. I was working as an outpatient registered dietitian and in a hospital for many years. And as the need after COVID, there was more of a need there was more phone calls on eating disorders. And, I was like, I think I want to become New Jersey's school registered dietitian. Like I just had this like deep down desire that I wanted to support as many schools as I could. I mean, I also could support schools now. I didn't know back then, but I could support schools virtually, right? As well. So, but I loved getting in person and, having that connection. So I developed Schools Master Food and Mood, and I provide professional development for teachers, support staff, and I also do workshops for students that are in grades 5th grade and up.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're busy.
Yeah. I mean, so I started this January of 2023. So about a year and a half. And I've been in about 14 different school districts. And Mental Health Awareness Month was very busy because I was volunteering my time at the health fairs. And I have presented at 4 different conferences as well. So I was so thankful that it was valued, the NJEA conference, the school nurse, SAC, student assistant counselor. So yeah, there's a huge need for this. There's a rise, and we're going to get into all of that. And I just was like, who else is doing this? And I would love to ask you guys, I mean, do you think that there's enough prevention programs to prevent eating disorders, disordered eating, enough screening, as a school counselor? Like, what are your feelings on it?
Well, just answering off the hip here, I would say no. Kim, you may know more things, and there may be other things in other places, but I don't think so, because it's one of those things that I don't know
Well,
how to identify.
Yeah, I think you're right, Laura, in that we all know that it's an issue, but it's just that when we're at PDs, when we're at conferences, that generally is not even on the menu. Speaking of the things that you can go and partake in and learn more about, but it's definitely something that I will deal with every single year. Every single year, I will deal with, and sometimes to, and it's like anything else, it could be to, something that is it easier to deal with, and then I've had it to where it's just really difficult for the families. It's difficult for the school. We're having to put systems in place, but really, I think when you said after COVID, we've seen a rise every aspect of mental health,
of course,
but I don't think that I think we're trying to grab hold and take care of all of this, but so we're behind. And I'm so glad when you were saying you're doing this, I feel like you're cutting edge. I feel like this is a huge problem, but I do feel like you're on the cusp of let's get ahead of, even though I think we're probably behind, but you are out there. So I think there needs to be more of you.
Yeah,
I think there needs to be more options for PD, for school counselors.
Yeah.
I think there's a dietitian world, but it's separate from our world. It may be an in-person, but it's not with us. So we need to know more. This is where I lack. And I think a lot
I'm here to support all school counselors moving forward. I mean, I've been supporting, but I mean, whoever's listening to the podcast right now, I'm here to support you or your school districts. Because
I love you. I don't know where you've been our whole life, but I'm so glad you're in our life now.
Thank
because
you.
this is
it's
so great.
It's needed. It's, the recent studies are showing 1 in every 8 girls and 1 in every 16 boys will develop an eating disorder. But I want to talk to you. I want to do a little fun demonstration. Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay. Let's see here. So we have pipe cleaners. You guys are familiar with pipe cleaners?
Absolutely.
Okay. So most of the public thinks in eating disorder in terms of, maybe the hot pink. The hot pink are the people, the students or adults too, with eating disorders. And the yellow are the people that are healthy eaters, no issues with their food behaviors, no disordered eating, just, there's 2 categories, right? But what it actually is a spectrum.
Okay.
So what we have here, where it's tightly woven, is the disturbances in the eating behaviors. Probably about 80 to 90%, if not more, of thoughts and brain space taken up by food. And I want to stop here because I want to explain that this could be very secretive, as I'm sure you know with other things, right? Like, there's guilt and there's embarrassment and there's shame in our culture around food. So sometimes it's really hard. We have to gain trust of our students to even have these students open up. Well, and then when I'm going to get to the middle section, this is also these children, it's hard for them to open up as well. I believe that parents would really see clearly if their child was struggling with a diagnosable eating disorder. However, we live in a diet culture soup, I call it. Have you ever heard that term before? Like a diet culture soup? Okay. So I'm going to explain it like this. I love using analogies. So if there were 2 fish that could speak to each other and the fish said, hey, how are you? And the fish said, I'm great. And then the next question was, how's the water? And then the fish is like, what water? Right. So that's how we're living in this. So many people, parents and teachers, and say sometimes the wrong language, which we're going to speak about in a little bit, because we live in the culture. So it's unintentional harmful language. And this middle section here is the disordered eating or dieting or fasting or restricting or calorie counting or obsessive exercise. This is not necessarily, a lot of this is not diagnosable. And this is where I want to catch our students. Okay. I want to catch them when they're skipping lunch, they didn't eat breakfast, they're hyper focusing on their body, they can't even concentrate in school because they're thinking about how their pants are, feeling on them, or how their body image is affecting their mental space. Then we have separated here. This is a healthy, beautiful relationship with food where you're eating when you're hungry, you're stopping when you're satisfied and full, you're honoring your hunger, you're eating a variety of foods, everything is neutral, so you don't feel as though you're a bad person or a good person for a food choice. It's a really I would like to say a flourishing relationship with food too. Like, I like to use nourish to flourish a lot. So this is the thank you. And it's actually, I'm going to thank one of my first students. Her name is Dina. And I said to her, I think this was about 4 months ago, I said, oh my goodness, can I please use that pipe cleaner analogy? And she said, of course you can. So yeah, this is a really great, I think that school nurses would love to see that and actually explain it to their students who are struggling with food a bit, and say, like, well, there are some questions that they could ask as well. So it's a great demonstration for them, and also explaining it as, like, how fish live in water and they don't know they're living in water. That's what we're living in. We're living in this diet culture soup that idolizes the thin ideal, that there's a $1 billion industry out there that's really not about our health and our wellness and our well-being.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I heard you talk about eating disorder, and then I heard you say disordered eating. So can you explain the difference between those two terms?
Yes. So an eating disorder is actually the mental illness that is diagnosed in the DSM.
Okay.
Right. So, and that's, again, that severe twist over here.
Tightly wound.
Okay.
Okay.
Something extremely important that I didn't even know, I would say, even about 10 years ago, I didn't know this, especially when I first became a dietitian. So this might surprise some of your listeners about eating disorders. When you think of an eating disorder, you usually think of somebody underweight, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Very thin and underweight. Okay. The truth is, 6% of eating disorders is underweight. 94% are average to larger bodies.
Okay.
Is that, what are your thoughts on that before I move on?
Shocking. I mean, but now that I think of it, some of my issues that I've had with students have been with larger students who have ran into eating disorder. I don't know. Gosh, that is, though, I always think of that really thin, Karen Carpenter story.
Yep, of course. And I think that as we move on, as the years move on, we need to make sure that the medical community and the schools and parents are aware of this, because a lot of times children in larger bodies who are told to diet and lose weight their whole life, they're pretty much given an eating disorder, but unintentionally, because of the diet culture soup.
I can see that. I can see that the parents wanting their child to be healthy, wanting them to eat healthy. And so, that just seems like that would be a hard balance for a parent who may be concerned about their child's weight and may feel like they have to intervene, but then it's almost you're afraid to intervene.
And
Yeah.
that's actually where a registered dietitian comes into play.
Okay.
And registered dietitians are really the only qualified health professional that should be teaching anybody about, their meal planning, their food, because there's so much I call it the nutrition nonsense and navigating the nutrition misinformation that's out there.
Mhm.
And parents need to be aware, how do I even navigate this? Like, I thought that this was healthy. I thought that I was teaching my child to be healthy, and it almost becomes an obsession with parent child, and there's this anxiety and this overwhelm and this fear that comes to play around food, and that is not health. So it almost goes to the opposite.
So I love that you've already given us a rubber meets the road here for school
Yeah.
counseling, because I have parents who come to me and ask more than I have had students come to me. I've had parents who said, this is what's happening at home. We're concerned about their eating. That's generally, and I want us in a second to go over the signs we can look for, but I've usually had the parent come to me. So that's a rubber meets the road. I mean, if they're concerned if their child's overweight or underweight, that's the dietitian is a go-to. I mean, that's somebody that some information that we can give out immediately.
Now, some dietitians may be more weight focused. I am considered a health at every size dietitian. It's called a Hayes dietitian, which is a beautiful thing where we don't focus on the weight, the scale, the body, the clothes. We actually focus on behaviors and habits, thoughts, feelings, emotions. I'm doing a lot of the underneath root work of where is this coming from? Why do they feel such distress around food and their body that it's now causing and impacting their mental and physical health?
Wow.
And actually, so when you think of a registered dietitian, right, you're like, oh, so Lauren gives meal plans and helps them, guides them with their, nutrition and how to put a plate together. Of course I do all that, but there's a lot more work to it than just the surface level. I call that the surface level work, which is great. I mean, it's surface level, but it also it's amazing because some of these kids don't even know how to put together a nourishing snack or a nourishing easy meal. They're never taught these things. And I make things really simple for parents and for children. But when you're working with disordered eating and eating disorders, you're doing more of the deeper work. I call it the root level work.
Yeah, because you are getting to the root of what's causing the eating disorder, that's disordered eating, and that's where the change can happen. Because otherwise, you're just treating. It's like a doctor sending you to a
Band-Aid.
specialist.
Yeah, I was going to say that's we're putting a Band-Aid over it.
Right.
And it's just it's not really going any deeper than that. So what are some of the symptoms that, like I said, I have never, it's almost one of those things I don't know enough about that I don't want to see it or know.
Right.
But it does confront you. So what are some things that we should be looking for?
And there are some subtle symptoms too. And there are girls and boys that don't have any symptoms really. It won't show any symptoms. So, I mean, the main symptoms are the weight loss, but some will not have a symptom of weight loss, but still have a disordered eating behavior. And the disordered eating or the dieting behavior, the research shows 25 to 35% will turn into an eating disorder. So we've got to catch these students when they're in that disordered phase. That's my mission, because I don't want a quarter of these kids ending up with eating disorders if we can catch them early and get them to the other side. Now, you said other signs and symptoms. So have you seen students that can't focus in class, are dizzy, are lightheaded, or I said the loss of focus or concentration, kind of foggy, very, very tired, irritable, and anxiety is strongly correlated with inadequate, nutrition. And the reason that we're so fatigued and we're brain fog is because our brain needs glucose in order to function and needs it regularly throughout the day. So if I could ask you, I mean, have you ever had a student that had displayed most of those signs? In addition, missed periods and some stomach cramping as well, for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's the tricky part. I mean, those are symptoms that we're seeing ramped up with just this package of mental illness crisis that we're dealing with. I think what you're bringing to light for us is, are we considering
Right.
that's a part of what we could be dealing with? So I think that because ADHD or those symptoms are on the rise, attention, stomach disorders because of anxiety, fatigue definitely because we have so many sleeping disorders. All of that's on the rise. I just don't think that we really think about food being something that we need to look at. So I am so glad that you're bringing this to light.
Thank you.
If that's something that, and we have, I mean, we've had students who've, I mean, there are stories that we have where it was so obvious that this child was in danger for their life on this eating disorder. So this is different, what you're talking about, and so I think,
right, you're saying that the difference of trying to get them in that disordered part of
right,
this.
Because when you have that, if you're just listening to this podcast, she had the pipe cleaners that are wound tightly. Those are the kids that I know they have. We're working with the medical, we're working with the parents. It's those kids that were loosely intertwined that we might need to look at what is going on in their diets and what are their brain, what are their thoughts about food. So
I have 3 questions that I actually have a handout that I don't know if you can attach it to the the notes. Okay. And I also have a social media presentation that anybody can watch as well, which would be great because it's social media's impact on student nutrition, students' physical and mental health. So it talks a lot about diet culture in there as well. And it talks about how are screens actually affecting their mental and physical health, which is important in this conversation as well. But first, let's go back to the questions. So now you're saying, Kim, that you have this child and they're having these symptoms that we just talked about, right? And you're like not really always relating it to food, right?
Yeah.
So and this is where I believe, and I hope in the next 5 years that there could be some type of a protocol. If there's these symptoms, then please ask these questions. Then please, contact parent and then refer to appropriate source of, therapy or dietitian. So the first question that's really important is, does thinking about food or your body take up a lot of space in your mind? That's it's a pretty great question to ask, right? And you think some of them would lie because, I mean, there's a lot of because reasons, right? But actually, my article that I wrote for the NJEA is called Secretly Starving: Why Schools Must Rethink Prevention and Early Warning Signs of Disordered Eating. So that's secretly starving. It depends on your relationship with them, correct? I mean, how comfortable they feel, but yeah, does it take up a lot of your time? Does it take up a lot of your space? Are you thinking about food a lot? That's a great question to figure out if they are, displaying some symptoms of disordered eating. The second question is, do you go long periods of time without eating? So do you go more than 4 to 5 hours during the day? Or even the evening? Let's say they did have an early dinner, like at 5, and they're going to bed at 11. It would be beneficial for the body to have a snack by 8 or 9 o'clock. Some of those kids might not be eating breakfast or lunch as well, some of them. So, and again, you don't have to write down these questions if you're listening, because you'll have a beautiful handout that shows the signs and the questions. The next question is, do you feel guilty after eating certain foods? Or do you sneak foods? Now, that question they might lie about because they're already exhibiting the sneaking behavior. When I went to a all-girls school in February, and I asked them some of these questions. This question had a 91% response rate back about feeling guilt. And the guilt around food it's actually bad for our health to feel that way a lot on a regular basis.
So is some, is some guilt good? Is some guilt, are you saying take the personification, take that out of food completely, take those feelings and make that neutral? I think that was the word that you
Yeah. So so what I teach a lot is don't give food too much power, give the power to yourself.
That's good. Yeah.
Give your body and your mind, like, how do you want to treat and respect your body? How do you want to feel? And that does come from that place of like self-love and worthiness too. And if a child doesn't have that, that's that root level, right? That if a child doesn't have that sense of stronger sense of self-worth, where they're seen, they're heard, they're not judged, they feel safe, that's that. Some children don't feel that, right? So it's harder for children who don't feel good in general, like in their bodies, to actually make helpful choices. I try to stay away from the word healthy and unhealthy a lot, because it's really not about healthy and unhealthy. It's about nutrient dense and less nutrient dense, because that also could make a child, depending on their personality, if they're a perfectionism or a people pleaser, oh no, I didn't eat healthy and like I feel bad, and oh, I was bad today, and that's not a healthy, kind relationship with food.
I love that. I love the words that you're using.
Thank you.
It's different for, it's that's different than I've heard before. So it's kind of an aha moment to think about nutrient dense and thinking about it in those terms, instead of putting that feeling, connecting that guilt and that shame and that feeling of food.
I love this series of questions that you shared with us, because, I think their first line of defense is to hide it, because they're afraid that if it comes to light, we will make them stop. And then, their security is in disordered eating, I guess. And so, but that series of questions is disarming enough that I believe it would pave the way, even if they lied on the first one or the second one. I think so many of them are disarming so that they would feel comfortable to say yes or to tell the truth. And that could be your way to have that conversation, or to route them to whatever resource is next.
And Laura, I almost feel, and you may feel differently than I do, but I think I speak for other school counselors when I say, I think a lot of us are afraid to mention it.
I would agree with that.
Like what we used to think about suicide. Like if we mention it, then
they'll do it.
Yes. And so we know, but that's kind of how I think I have really always felt like, if I go into a classroom and I start talking about this, then I'm going to open up this Pandora's box, or that, and I'm just being really honest. That's not something I need to brag about, but I think that's probably more true than not. I think we're afraid to have this conversation. It's terrifying for parents, and a lot of the parents, and I know I'm going down another little rabbit hole, and I don't want to lose this train of thought, but I know a lot of the parents that have came to me are professionals, or their kids are athletes? Are
Mhm.
there all A students? And that comes with its own set of stuff. Do you find there's one type of student that leans more toward disordered eating?
Perfectionism
Okay.
and people pleasing, and then if they have unmet needs, if their basic needs are unmet, but of course there's the biological, physiological, there's a lot that it's very complex, right?
Sure. Sure.
But there was another question. There was and I wanted to go back to how this has to be done carefully. That's why I'm here to support counselors, because I want counselors to be able to feel confident that you're not going to cause harm. You're actually going to help empower, believe it or not, like through, I mean, obviously not just this one podcast. There has to be more trainings and information. And I definitely think if some of your listeners listen to the social media presentation, that would really help them a lot as well. But, I think we have to come at it less of fear and more of, we're really empowering these students to feel good in their bodies. We're empowering them to focus on what they can add to their day to feel better, like with food, right? So like, I'm going to add 2 fruits and a vegetable a day instead of like only focusing on fruits and vegetables and stay away from, the less nutrient. Like, you can have that less nutrient. It's not when we zoom out a little bit more and we focus on like the sleep, the hydration, eating every few hours, social time, and yeah, I mean, those are really like, and stress management, right? Like, and movement. Those are like really the big picture. And I think that if we're focusing in on the wrong things of just like, you can't have the ice cream or the chocolate or the chips, and then you're making food actually really powerful, like just like I said before, and like the hierarchy of it. I teach parents, like, we don't really want to label foods as good or bad or healthy or unhealthy, especially, some children's brains take that like really, they have that anxiety and fear. I mean, I see it in some of the children where I do the student workshops. They're actually really surprised when I have, a plate and I'm like, here's your apple and here's your peanut butter and here's your chocolate or your chips or something. They're like, but shouldn't you stay away from that? I said, well, having vitamin J for joy is important for your mental health too.
Yeah.
I say vitamin J for joy.
I
I
like
love
that.
that.
You take
Yeah.
that up, Lauren. I like that vitamin J.
Yeah.
So how do we as school counselors kind of deal with the damage that's already done through this diet culture?
Mm. Oh, well, what you could do is just not judge, which of course all of you school counselors are not judging, but like I said, like, language wise, you have to be really careful. That's why I love to guide and support, because I'm able to help counselors with what they should say and what they shouldn't say. So should we go over some of these conversations of what we shouldn't and what we should? Okay.
Definitely.
So, anything appearance, and this is also for parents. This is not just for school. This is for anybody that's dealing with children. Anything appearance related, like saying you look like you've gained weight, or you look like you've lost weight, or you're not fat, you're beautiful, or anything, that kind of language. If a child expresses that they feel fat and a mom doesn't know that their body size is really, like I said before, like there's a root layer under this, and a mom is not saying, well, can you open up to me? Tell me more. Like, why do you feel that way? Instead, the mom comes in and fixes. No, you're not fat. You're not fat. You're beautiful. Your body's good. But let that child have the time and space to open up about why they're feeling that way. And actually, as counselors, you can let children know, like, bodies are supposed to change as we grow up. And a lot of body size is based on genetics. and our culture teaches us that we could control our body size, but we actually have a lot less control than we're led to believe. Like I said, if 94% of people struggling with an eating disorder are in average or larger bodies, right? Some
Yeah.
people, it's called a set weight point. So some people just have this set weight point of higher than, what is considered ideal, right? So that body commenting part, but I don't believe any counselor would comment on that like that. But what a teacher or a counselor might do unintentionally is say something about food morality. And again, it's so unintentional. It's just like, oh, I'm being so bad. I'm having this, these French fries, or I'm sure, I probably said it 15 years ago because I wasn't in this world, right? It's like a different world. It's like I have an image of a fish jumping out of the bowl and then, coming to the other side. But yeah, like anything, like a food police comment, like if a parent said, you're going back for seconds, or how could you still be hungry, or, stop eating so much. It could actually feed into them not trusting their own bodies, and what the parent is trying to do, they're actually unintentionally, they're making it worse.
Mm.
So let's say a child was caught with, let's say, like 10 candy wrappers under their pillow, right? Something like that, right? And the mom comes in and she's like, what's wrong with you? How could you eat this? Da, 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 right? Like, what's the child feeling?
Guilt
And shame, embarrassment, right? And that actually only drives more coping with that guilt and shame with food.
Yeah.
So there might be 20 wrappers the next time instead of 10. So the best thing for counselors to teach parents would be, if just talk about it. Like, what was going on? What were you feeling? Were you stressed out? Were you sad? Were you angry? And then, like, there's other coping mechanisms. You can use food from time to time, but when we regularly use food to cope with an uncomfortable, distressing emotion, that's not healthy for your body or your mind, So it's such a different conversation that parents need to learn about, and ADHD, food is very, very regulating and stimulating. And if a parent is coming at his child with ADHD, with an anger, upset, and that child really couldn't control their, and even OCD, their brain needed that food, unless they're getting, therapy and treatment and understanding other coping mechanisms. But until that's done, the food is really serving them a huge purpose. Like, we have to look at, why are we having these behaviors? Not that the behavior is so wrong, but what is helpful with that behavior? Oh, it's soothing me and I can relax, and we have to look at both sides, and not is that's the empowerment model. Because if you're like, this is a problem, then it's like, well, what's the solution now? Okay.
Is there a way to have, what kind of conversations should you have with your child to set healthy boundaries? Because we may or may not have a thing at my house with the mega stuffed Oreos.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, boy.
if I turn my head, then
they'll all
be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you have that conversation on boundaries?
It's interesting, because the more we make it about, oh, it's unhealthy and it's sugar and it's this, like, I really do feel, and I've seen this happen, that they want more of it, and they want more control of it. So if parents can teach child, now their child might be older listening to it, but at any age, how to create a snack plate so you have some protein, some fat, some joy. I think that's a great way to start, because, and also, how do 5 or 7 Oreos make you feel? I mean, maybe in the moment they do make you feel really good, right? They're really delicious, they're soothing, they're satisfying. Another important component that would be helpful for parents is teach your child to mindfully eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a component also of the scrolling on social media and the immediate gratification.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
then there's distress tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of distress tolerance, right? And the food is actually serving them like that, like feeling
Yeah.
of dopamine and relaxing. So,
Yeah.
actually just having a conversation with your kids about it. And sometimes, like, are you feeling hungry right now? Like, no judgment, but are you feeling hungry? Or are you just like kind of bored, or like need to like have some stimulation, or what are you feeling that you're grabbing that right now? And
That's
that's not a judgment. That's just asking them, what is the emotion that you're feeling, and that the parent can say, I'm learning. I'm listening to, registered dietitian, and learning about, food and body image and relationship with food. I'm learning about how to have a healthy relationship with food, and I'm learning that emotions cause you to sometimes reach for the food, but what you really need is something else. It's like, well, what do I really need right now? Oh, I need a hug. Oh, I need to talk. I need a nice connection talk with a hug or a talk. I need to listen to some music. I need to go out for a walk. I need some hydration. I need, whatever it is. There's a lot of other needs.
wow.
It's
That's really good. Yeah, that's good.
That is good.
Something else though, if the child's not eating lunch and skipping breakfast, there's no way that they could just have like 2 or 3 Oreos. Like, they're going to want 20 Oreos
Yeah.
because their body is going to be like, you have to feed me now. I'm about to die. Like the binge
Yeah.
eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've been there. We've been there where we've skipped, and then it's just whatever you get your hands on, and then you're just
Mhm.
Yeah.
And of course, from time to time, depending on, it could happen. Hopefully it happens not as much to children as it might happen to adults with our schedules, but teaching a child, like, this goes back to the question about the boundaries, like teaching a child, like, when you regularly eat throughout the day nourishing amounts, so when you have a nice breakfast, and if any of the counselors want visuals, I'm happy to send that to the counselors as well. I have 60 plates, like breakfast, lunch, dinners. I could actually, maybe I'll send them to you. Yeah, so you could kind of visually see.
that would be great.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be great.
think actually, and then the kids could see this too. I think it'd be awesome. Yeah. So if these kids were eating more nourishing breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, snack, they probably would be able to tune into their bodies more, mindfully eat, understand their emotions. It's the slowing down in our society with the overload of information. It really does correlate with disordered eating more than ever.
I bet.
And also like the images on social media as well,
Yeah.
because they're looking at so many. And I always say, like, if it doesn't make you feel good, you shouldn't be following that person, or you should definitely scroll by or put the phone away if you're not starting to not feel good. But
Mhm.
it's changed a lot since COVID, because we weren't really on our phones as much before that.
I agree.
That's
Yeah,
true.
and the anxiety is definitely pumped up. So, is this looked at as an addiction? I mean, is it addiction like you would have an addiction to alcohol or an addiction to drugs, or is that
It's a
something?
very good question. The studies and the research, a lot of it is showing it's not, and
Okay.
it's more of your thoughts, your beliefs, the dieting mindset actually creates a lot of weight cycling and increased weight gain in the future because of all that restricting and binging. But again, there's research that could show that there is a food addiction. I personally, in my work and in my experience, when we habituate food and give that power to ourselves, and through a process learn how to have this beautiful, healthy relationship with food, and how how to have a self-care approach to eating, what ends up happening is food is not such a big deal. So you're having a variety over time of nutrient and less nutrient, but you're also focusing on habits such as movement and water and sleep and, so that you are healthier mentally, physically, emotionally.
Yeah, I'm glad you're tying in the whole picture.
Yeah.
I think there is looking at the whole child and the joy that they have in their life, the connections that they have in their life, the less stress and all
Of
those things
course.
make such a difference. So, what are some and I know that you have these plates fixed up, but what are some meals and snacks that are you suggest?
Sure. And before I move on, you mentioned connections. Connections is the number one impact on our longevity, our connections. And we are lonely and we are stressed.
Yeah. More than ever. I think
Yeah.
people are connected throughout the world. But I agree. I think so much of students that I have dealt with some of the students I've dealt with have actually were larger, and they were that's one of the top bullying issues of any elementary school is if a student is overweight. That is a go-to. Is they are going to be called fat. They're going to be called all these names. So I've seen those, I just don't know how to support that child. I don't know how to support my overweight elementary students who come to me crying because they're being called names.
That's where I want to come in and be able to help with body image, help them feel confident even though people are calling them names. How can we get that child to feel good in their body when they live in a world that their body doesn't feel safe in?
And that's where I think that's where school counselors really
need support with the body image bullying.
Yeah, because we notice the typical things are you look, you're great, you're loved, you have all these things going for you, blah blah blah, but it still hurts them so badly, and I don't really feel like I'm giving them enough armor.
A lot of that is sitting in the suck and just our society does value thinness, right? And this is what it is. And you can still completely love yourself and completely accept yourself, but that comes with some work every single day. And and they will have some bad body image days even with the work because how we live. I always tell my clients, I wish that we all just accepted everyone just accepted people's bodies for the way they were. We would actually be walking around taking care of ourselves to just feel great.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be hyper focused.
It would be to feel good. How do we feel?
Exactly. I'm going to become an ambassador for the Be Real campaign. I can send you some information. They have some free things for schools too. And it's becoming a body image, I'm going to be teaching body image workshops. So that's something that I'm getting into as well, because I'm so passionate about this. Because the body image component, the dissatisfaction, is then causing the disorder. So it all comes together. Now let's get back to the nourishing plates. Do you see how I even sometimes about to say healthy? I try to stop myself because really it's nourishing. Okay. So let's start with a nourishing breakfast. If someone likes whole grain toast, some people don't, but that would give fiber, and that's great for digestion and your gut and your cholesterol and your heart. So 2 slices of whole wheat bread with 2 eggs and a banana or an apple or some grapes or some berries, something like that would be really nice and nourishing. Or 2 whole wheat waffles with some peanut butter and some fruit as well. And then we have lunch. Let's talk about, I could tell you what I give my daughter. She gets a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She gets edamame. Do you guys like edamame?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's like a bean. like kind of like a chickpea, but like
What a chickpea
you should
is.
try it. You should try edamame.
Do you know, Laura?
Well, I've seen it like on Chopped or like on those cooking shows, but I don't.
Oh,
I mean, we're not the picture of health down here, so we're not going to
okay.
have these health
When she
foods.
sits
But
down
maybe
here,
you are. But maybe you
Alabama
are
is not the nutritional capital of the world.
right, not nutritional, but maybe you are healthy from the other aspects of the other, right? But
We've got the mega stuff Oreo aspect covered. We're on that side of the
So,
spectrum, and we're rocking it down here.
So yeah, like even if you do a turkey and cheese sandwich with some chips and some grapes, like peanut butter and jelly with any type of fruit and then like some kind of chocolate, something like that. And of course, if they want the school lunch, once or twice a week, if they want it, I mean, if they want it every day, okay. I mean, if they're getting other nourishing areas, we want to look at it as patterns, not day to day. So over weeks and months, are we getting a variety of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains and proteins? So protein, carbs, and fats at each meal the best that we can. So dinner could be something like taco night with some vegetables or some fruit. It could be sweet potatoes with chicken and green beans. It could be hamburgers with cantaloupe and strawberries. It could be salmon with broccoli and potatoes. Yeah, something like that. Like a nice, but you'll see the visuals. I'll definitely email you. And then snacks, I like to say that we could do a 3. Here, so I have it. Yeah. Here's my plate. It's like a 3-part plate. So you do have some protein, some carbs, and some fat. And if you want to add vegetables, so let's say you had carrot sticks as the vegetables, ranch as the fat, and then you had some strawberries and some graham crackers and peanut butter, something like that. Right? Now, somebody might feel really full eating that snack plate. So they have, this is all up to your hunger and fullness level as well. It's not rigid. It's very flexible.
So the clean your plate mentality.
Oh, so clean your plate mentality is actually teaching when you walk away from that table, you've got to feel full, and that's not health. So that's actually, I'm so happy that you brought that up, because that's a really good tip for parents, is to allow that child to walk away when they feel comfortable, because you're teaching them health. You're not, because then when they grow up, they're going to be overeating at a meal because that's what they think a meal should do.
Wow, there is so much. There is
so many nuggets.
Parenting. Yeah. But there is so
we need part 2.
Yeah.
There's so much as I think about within my own family, within my own kids, within my own, just my school, the culture that we're in. I'm just thinking about this is and food is so vital. I mean, it's every day. It never stops. And there's no parenting classes on this, so I watch my children with grandkids now, and they're not eating, or I'm thinking, good grief, this grandkid eats like a full meal trucker. That's what I'm thinking. And but
we have to trust them. It's hard. This is important. If anybody wants to look up Ellen Satter, ELLYN SATTER. She's a wonderful resource for understanding how to parent with food. She has a couple of books out, and her approach is the division of responsibility. So what a parent's responsible for, and then what a child is responsible for. And we really do have to trust that the child knows their hunger and their fullness.
Wow.
As hard as that is sometimes.
That is just, you've just opened up these moments in my brain that I'm going, I've never really thought about it that way. And definitely given us some of the things that I need to change the way I think and the way I speak to students, and some things that we could definitely work on, and not be afraid to jump in there on that body image with students.
So Lauren, I mean, if they feel good in their bodies and confident, because there are ways that you can teach them that. then they are going to take better care of themselves. They actually showed, remember they used to do the BMI and the scales at school, the weight, that actually had an opposite effect.
Sure. Wow. Yeah, I can see that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would a school counselor go about partnering with a Hayes? Did you say a Hayes? That's what you
Yes,
are, a
yes, yes.
dietitian?
So they would have to, they would look up, you know, registered dietitian, health at every size in their area.
Okay.
Now I do have some free resources on my school website as
Okay.
well. So
We will link that.
and if they needed any help finding somebody close to them, I could help them with that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
If they have a difficult time. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just having you in the school counselor world and having somebody that we could reach out to, because this is really
Yeah.
our realm, and I just know now I need to know more.
Yeah.
I think you just cracked the window, and now I really need to know more.
So it's complex and it's a process.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you.
We look forward to your book.
Which book? Oh, eventually a book?
Yes,
Whatever you've got, we're looking forward to it. We're
gonna
looking
link
forward
it.
to discovering more, Lauren.
Whether
Thank
it's
you.
now or in the future, because it looks like you are really hitting your stride, and you're really
Thank you.
hitting an area that is not going away. And
Mhm.
as we're seeing, the rest of the crisis is just part of the mental health crisis that we cannot afford to ignore.
Yeah,
So
and school counselors are vital in this. Like I believe you have.
yeah, agree. Thank you so much.
You're
It's
so
been great.
welcome. Thank you guys.
Well, how did we exist without knowing her?
I feel like a portion of my mind has been opened, and I feel like I need to call my mom first and foremost and tell her I am no longer a card carrying member of the Clean Plate Club. I'm done with that.
Thank you for ruining our lives, moms.
Thank you for these. I can't even say it because I'm not talking about my appearance anymore.
What are we going to say to one another?
We're just going to
she
sit
had
there
to
in
remember-
silence.
She had to kind of help us with our own relationship, because that's, you call me names or I may call you names, and now we
Right.
got to stop that when it's body shaming. But I mean, really though, there were a lot of aha moments. Seriously,
Yeah.
my brain was like, the synapses were snapping, because there were some things that I just had not thought of that way. And I love when we have those kinds of guests. What I love most, Laura, is that now we have, and our listeners have, somebody that we can reach out to, because
And who knew?
who
Who
knew?
even knew that we needed her?
Yeah. Not us. A lot of
Not
people
us.
may have, but not us. And I feel like that this is an area, again, that I mentioned during the show, I am very weak in. I just don't know the right things to say, because it deals with the mind and the body and health.
Yeah.
And that scares me to say the wrong things. But I think that mindfulness part about it, and just talking to the students about what were you feeling, we know that's stuff that we do know. So tie in what we know even to this. And so I think especially the things that we're going to link that she's going to send us, I think we have some resources in her and other things. So
Yeah.
good guest.
Very good. Yes. Well, there are a couple of things that we need to talk about that are coming up.
Good.
One is our summer counselor conference that we are doing with Carol Miller. We're going to be presenting at that. And at the time that this episode airs, if it is before June 15th, you can still get the early bird discount. So we're going to add a link in the show notes to that conference. Join now and get the early bird rate. It's $49. It's so affordable for what you're getting. And you have access to it for a year, I believe. So jump on that. Can we talk about, we'll talk about ASCA. We're going to be doing 2 sessions at ASCA. And I think we speak on, is it Saturday and Monday? Does that sound right?
I do not know. I do not know.
Well, check your schedules because I think we're speaking on Saturday and Monday. I know. Well, that's what I think. It's not my birthday, so nobody needs to bring me a gift this year. That's not necessary. We will not be there on my
It's your
birthday
birthday every year,
every
or
year.
just about every year. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got a few things going on this fall, but I don't know that we've got the green light to talk about those. But can we talk about what you found out today that we're doing in December?
Oh, yeah, I'm yawning. Do you see this? We are going to be speaking at the Blue Ribbon School in
In
Orlando.
Disney World. We are
Okay.
going to Disney World.
We're going to Disney, baby.
So
Yep.
that's going to be exciting and fun.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun if you're a Blue Ribbon. If that's something that y'all are going to be doing or can do, there'll be a lot of great speakers at that. So we've got some other things that we're not sure if we can say yet in the fall coming. So
We'll keep our mouths shut
we're
until
just going to keep our mouth shut.
we get the go ahead. But
That's right.
one more thing, if you are a high school counselor in the state of Alabama, we would love to hang out with you June 25th and 26th at the University of Alabama, where we are going to be talking about how to tie in computer science and school counseling, how those things go together. And that's just always a fun 2 days. It's one of our favorite things that we do every year. So check into that. Just look into that. How would they go about looking into that?
I would think through the NCWIT website, National Center for Women in Technology, or C4C part of that, and just maybe, but it's actually PACS. PACS is what it's called for the University of Alabama.
So maybe if you search PACS, Alabama,
Yep.
then you'll
If
get
you
some
see a
information.
link that you can add, then go ahead and add it if there is something out there already. Or you can reach out to us and we'll get you hooked up.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And as always, you can rate and review this because I haven't said that in a while, but we really do love it whenever you rate and review it. It makes our day. And those of you who have rated and reviewed our book, including you, Russ Sabella, thank you for the recent review. But we just love reading those. So thank you, those of you who have rated and reviewed. And you can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and watch these on YouTube sometimes.
All the things.